Folks, we are finally back. The dynamic duo, the Breakdown Boys. Sensei, I missed you, my brother. I mean, listen, I didn't miss you that much because Astrid was killing the game. But I did miss you, man. I miss you. I know you missed the people. Talk to him, man. We haven't seen you in a while.
I know. I missed you guys. I was able to, catch the event partially. But your boy did it, okay? He's a national champ, game MVP, dude. I made sure if I was out there, if I was going to miss this event, I came through with the best game of my life. I'm gonna be doing some editing and talking with some people to capture how awesome this really was. But great events. But I want to let you know we won and we did it. We got the job done. Okay. But now I'm back and I'm back for good.
He got that job done. Now he's here to do this job. And let's just quickly, before we get into what we're going to talk about here, what did you think of Fight Week? The entire Fight Week leading up and then Fight Night, just overall thoughts. What do you think?
Dude, super jealous. Dude, I was super jealous I wasn't there, man. That's like my whole feeling. Man, this is such a good event. There's so many fights lined up. And Misfits, man, just does it right. From the commentators, your boy Wade, everyone's there. Then having the fighters, Kenny, they had Dean there because they're upcoming fighters. There's every aspect. Then the fights, the matchups, the storylines, and there was no controversy, like nothing negative. No, the only thing was like Ryan Taylor. But other than that, it was just good fights, great fights as well. Yeah. Just an amazing event.
No, it was great. Now, we do have to talk about exactly what happened. And we're going to do this leading off because I want your thoughts fresh in your mind. And I have to know. Let's talk about the main event of Misfits number 4, FaZe Temperr versus KSI. I just, right away, before we watch anything, going into the fight, you and I had talked. I had watched Tommy train 2 nights before with Malik Scott. They were doing some stuff that I thought was going to be interesting. I thought was going to be able to allow Tommy to be in this fight for a longer period of time, if not have more success. And that was just, the stuff we had talked about, him being switched on from the rip.
Correct.
Being able to keep on his feet, keep moving, not standing still. I did a breakdown on the main channel about this. Tommy keeping his chin down has been such a hard thing for him. And it's not just for him. It's for new guys in the scene. And you worried about that a little bit going into it. What were your thoughts, as, we found out Malik Scott was in his corner, and as we headed to Fight Night, what were your thoughts? Like, okay, Tommy has to do this and can't do that.
Yeah, the main thing for me was the pace in which Tommy had to fight, the gears. And we talked about it leading up to it. And JJ can fight at a higher gear than Tommy. There's a certain pace that he can go to, a certain speed that he can turn up when he's throwing his combinations in the mix. And Tommy is a methodical guy, typically slower, fights at his pace, right? His pace is a bit slower. And I knew that regardless of who he's training with or whatever he's doing, right? With Tommy's style versus JJ, he's going to have to not only be switched on, but by switched on means he has to fight at a pace faster. And if at any time it speeds up, he has to be able to clinch, reset, and get back to that pace. And he has to push the fight to his kind of pace. Right. Or else, once you get into the mix, it's going to be bad for him. Yeah. Right? Because of his natural ability to be able to, lean back and his chin goes up. Because if you go back to my sparring with JJ, right, my most recent one, I didn't have to fight at his pace because I was able to use head movement and able to get out of the way when he was fighting. Right, when he's throwing his punches. But that's the only way you can fight at a slightly slower pace. If you want to fight at your pace, your defensive head movement, your clinch game has to be perfect because you have to make them miss because they're going to have higher volume than you. But if you're not doing that and you're just covering up and you're just going to be in the corner or something like that, those combinations are going to come at you way too fast. You're not going to be able to counter and you're going to get caught, right? So that was for me so when I was watching it, right, my initial reaction you're talking about, even though he was having some success early, I was eerie of it because he was having success, but it was just JJ not landing. Yeah. And he was still fighting a tick slower, and he was able to find the clinch, but the clinch was happening a little bit slower each time. Yeah. And I was like, man, he's got to be in and out, jittery and quick. You got to keep JJ guessing, and you can't let him, do what he did. But yeah, go ahead. Well,
let's take a look at what he did here, man.
Yes.
DAZN, please don't copyright us. Shout out my team at DAZN, saying we'll work on it. But this is what we saw. Tommy was relaxed. He had a quiet confidence about him all week. I had talked to him multiple times, and he genuinely
Maybe too relaxed.
Say that again.
Maybe too relaxed.
Maybe. He genuinely thought, listen, I've got this in the bag. He legitimately was like, I'm better skilled than KSI is. This is going to be my fight. But again, when you look across the ring and you see a guy that has more experience, a guy that is living in this moment constantly, and quite frankly, we didn't know at this time, but has evolved his skill a little bit. It wasn't going to be Tommy's night, but I will agree that Tommy looked a little sharper early on than I thought he would. So fair play to him there. But as we started here, immediately we get KSI on the front foot, which we
did you just see that though? Did you just see that? Go back. This was the tell-all right here. Initial when JJ throws that right to the body.
Yeah.
Watch how Tommy turns. When JJ throws his right, he turns into it. So it'll probably catch it in a moment. You might even see it happen again here. So he's standing on the outside doing a good job. Jab, but right here. See how he turns that way?
Yeah.
And his feet he gets squared up?
Yeah.
Bam. Right there. I knew that immediately that's not a good sign because he's turning that way to it to cover.
Here comes.
Overextended. You have to lean away. Use that front hand to defend your body and stay the heck away from him, which means leaning off your back foot. You got to lean from a bladed position. So that right there, see how it's across the step, that big back step there?
Yep.
With his right foot. Means that literally means if you see that early, you can just run him over because he's in no position to punch, right, to return.
And look at where it leaves his head, Sensei.
Correct.
And look where this comes through.
Yeah, he's got to keep that right hip in front of you. You got to be behind your front shoulder. And when you see stuff like this, and he's doing a better job keeping his hands up, but it's still the mechanics. Nice right hook.
I was going to say that was a beautiful shot when he threw it. Then I was like, okay, we got something. That's stay out of my range. I was like, all right.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
And even here, I liked him recognizing that he was in dead space after landing this because JJ's not going to move. He's going to make you do something to move him. And Tommy realizes, okay, let me move.
Yep.
Get out of the corner.
Get out of there again. Yep.
But yeah, it's
see right here, right there. That once I saw stuff like this, it only works maybe sometimes.
Yeah.
But turning into it, the cover is good here. But but he starts to throw. He covers and he wants to throw, but this is not Tommy's style. So you see this erratic, not great technique here. Yeah. Elbows in, trying to do those short hooks. But I like how he clinched. He should have just clinched there initially.
Yeah.
Or jab and continue to circle out and get back to his space. He cannot. You have to know where you can fight and where you have the advantage, where you have the edge, and you have to only decide to fight there. Do not fight where the other person has the advantage on the inside.
Now, we started to see this, and this is something I really wanted to talk about with you because this is your bread and butter.
Dude,
Tommy should have known this.
Oh, dude, I was like,
known this.
Because I do this to Tommy. We would do this more. Like I wouldn't do this when I boxed though. So Temperr would see this more when we did our striking, like full striking, kickboxing.
Yeah, let's explain what we're looking at here. So you're going to start seeing KSI go bladed here. Bladed meaning what, Sensei?
Your body is turned to the side. That left shoulder's in front. That right shoulder's back.
Right.
That left hip's in front of you. Your right hand is hidden. Yep. His hands are down. He's bouncing up and down. You're seeing a traditional sport karate stance here.
Yeah.
It's a sport karate TKD 101.
So this is something that again, you're an expert in, and you've trained with experts in, like Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. KSI is trained with an expert in, like MVP Michael Venom Page. Now, I didn't expect him to employ it the way he does here, and as naturally as he does. Fair play to him, but Tommy should have absolutely seen something like this coming. If they did some, it's tough, right? If you did some game planning and understood, like, one, he's talking about a new style, been talking about blitzing you, and he has MVP in that camp.
And also, but JJ already had a knack for this because Vidal does this naturally, and he did this early on. When we sparred, he tried to do some of this. He didn't do it really much with me, but I saw him doing it in sparring. When you fought Joe Weller, he employed a lot of this hands down, elusive in and out. It was a part of JJ's start because of that influence from Vidal. Yeah. So MVP just took it to a new level.
And Tommy does a decent job here of catching him in this first exchange where they go at it with this. But you already see what KSI wants out of it here.
Correct.
As soon as he sees Tommy stop, here he goes.
Correct.
Right? That's the tipping point. Go time. But Tommy
And
does
you're using the
end up
bounce.
catching
He's
him.
using the bounce to drive in that blitz. He's using JJ's. If you're asking bouncing, why do people bounce? Why do we bounce so much? Because you're using the drop on the bounce of your back foot. So if you're bouncing up and down and the person freezes, you don't know. But every time we're bouncing down, we're loading.
Yep.
So when he on the way down, you're gonna see his right foot, but you can't. It's hard to time the blitz because on the way down, you're actually using it to load, so you cannot see the load. It's non-telegraphic the load because now you're pushing off, and you're driving in there. Person's frozen, and boom. But like fair play, Tommy sees it, slides back.
It was good recognition. He actually catches him short hook here as well. And this is the danger, right? This is why you we talked with Salt Poppy about this as well. You said this is risky, and KSI he will get risky and take chances. This is the risk because a guy that lands this down the pipe, say that lead hand gets parried and this left hand comes over the top. KSI ends up being squared off right here. There's nowhere for him to go. Tommy does land a nice shot, but it was just something he wasn't prepared for to see, I don't think. So, again, decent job with the clinch there, but that's the first time sees that.
Great job with the clinch. Great job with the clinch.
Yeah. That's the first time Tommy sees it, but it's also the first time KSI sees it and sees Tommy's reaction. So,
nice left hand. Two nice left hands from Tommy there.
Yeah, and again, like I
said,
said,
popping up though. Chin's popping up.
Boom, nice jab, back out of range.
Beautiful jab.
Boom, left hand. That's a good one. And another one, yeah. Like I said, Tommy had some success, but KSI had said all week, I'm going to walk through those.
Correct.
And I think the more he got hit with those, the more he felt like he could walk through them. And it was just nothing to it. Tommy didn't have any sit-down power on those shots. It was more touch. He couldn't generate that sit-down power.
And that's what we talked about, too. You have to be able to get him to gain that respect.
He went for it. Shot right there that Tommy threw.
Went for it.
Yeah.
Went for it. I like that a lot.
Biggest shot. And again, he's not – this is the thing, too. You have to give KSI credit for a massive, massive win here. And people are going to say, oh, well, Tommy's on this much notice, and he's not very good.
Right.
Tommy's not far away from being good, man.
No.
He's not far away. It's just a couple of things that he's not getting corrected, and those couple of things are very detrimental for a tall guy that doesn't necessarily keep his range and does keep his chin high. But
those few holes are the holes you can't have.
Exactly. Like if you're a guy like KSI, the holes in KSI's game can be covered a little bit, right?
Correct.
With his blitz,
he can make up for it.
With his chin, with his cardio, whatever it is. Tommy can't necessarily cover those up because, again, KSI being a shorter guy, he's well known to tuck that chin. He understands how to tuck his chin and throw. Tommy is having trouble with that, and that's why. But, man, I saw this happen live, and I was like, he's not far away, man. Because KSI was getting close, but Tommy was as well. This was a game of, again, firefight. KSI is going to win most of those.
Correct.
But I really loved this shot. KSI did a good job getting his head off the center line, though.
Yep.
And just walks forward.
You see how Tommy's walking back and how he's turning on that right hook.
Yeah, again.
Boom. And he's looking at his feet are crossed. Legs are crossed, and JJ's just swinging for the fences again.
Yeah, it's the same.
Just misses that.
Same right hand, left hook that we see.
Feet are next to each other. Yes. He's got to lean back, keep that left foot behind him.
The second time we saw that combo.
Correct. And that's what I'm seeing. So it looks like, Tommy's doing pretty well, but I'm like, oh, my God, he's getting closer and closer.
Yep.
Closer and closer. What Tommy needs to do is just only fight his fight. Score here and then clinch. When JJ has a storm, weather the storm, get back and score.
Yeah.
Oof.
I love the idea here from Tommy, but, follow up, And again, it's not bad, but it's just this. But this is what gets us in trouble because it's not. It's an accurate shot. It's just getting into that position. It seems like is tough for him with his head placement. I mean, Leon, you saw him talking about giving him a tennis ball or something to use.
Oh, that was the first big shot that JJ landed. I think right against the ropes. You see that left hook land. I think bam.
And he switches. But Tommy is still switched on, and he lands a nice left hand to stop the pressure here once again. Boom. Stops it, and another one. Boom.
Yep. Now right here. Yep. Clinch or get out of there.
This is stuff they worked
on. That was good.
Clinch, get back to the center, reset.
But JJ's landing. He's getting closer.
Yep. It's a nice angle switch there from JJ as well. Now, if you're right here, I think Tommy has felt that he's in a comfortable spot. He hasn't really been hit with something big yet. And he's having success.
He's got to fight at a high pace. Yep. You got to be switched on, dude. You cannot slow down.
JJ decides, I don't know if this was a call from the corner, but he decides now we're going to switch it up. We're going to go start bouncing again. Now watch Tommy's reaction to the bounce. Right? Good.
That was beautiful. Stop.
What
Yeah,
you want.
hit him and get out of there.
Yeah.
Don't let him bounce. Don't let him get comfortable. Don't let him get comfortable.
Now we're seeing it. Now we're seeing him stay and just wait on, okay. And again, I think Tommy thought, I'm going to counter him, right? The problem was, I think he was anticipating a jab right hand. That's what I think. I think he was anticipating the jab so he could throw his hook. When the jab didn't come out and the right hand came in instead, I think that's when we went here, and that's when things turned bad. So we're going to see it here, but you see the feint there, and that right hand is heavy.
Yeah.
What gets lost here, and I said this on Twitter, is this little feint that JJ throws right before he goes, right here. Just little. And you see it. Tommy reads and tries to parry or maybe just frame out, but he doesn't anticipate the right hand coming behind it. Bang.
And
That's
he
a big
turns that thing right there. He turns into the backhand, and he leans back, all of his weight on his back leg. His back foot is stuck in the mud right now.
Yep.
Right, so he's not stepping back and leaning away, keeping that stand behind your front shoulder. Your front shoulder is behind you. He's practically in a twist stance, right? Yeah. You got to be behind it so you can circle out to the left towards his power hand. Because look at JJ's left hand.
Yeah, it's
coming from his hip.
It's coming, and
right. But Tommy's turning into that, walking back. This is why you know you can pressure him, and if he's going to turn his hips like that, and look at right now, JJ's hooking that hand beautifully.
Yeah,
dude.
he's about to pull and then throw and. Another
Trapped
thing
it.
that we talk about here is Tommy's hips, right? You don't ever want to have those shoulders behind your hips like that, bending at the waist, like some Muay Thai movements that guys love to do. But for boxing especially, man, you got to have that base. You have to, and crossing your feet in this situation, like you're walking backward is not it. That's why you move step the way you do in boxing, because you don't want to get this position.
Unless you're Muhammad Ali, Vidal Riley, who can dance like that and move, and you have next level anticipation and distance management and awareness, and you're making dudes miss. It's just dangerous. It's just it's a quick way to get cracked.
And then we see the big one.
Boom.
Big shot.
But look at where his feet are. Look at where his body
big
is.
boom.
You know. Look where his body is. His body was already. He's not in position, and he used a karate blitz. I was like, and when JJ started bouncing, I'm like, Tommy, it's coming. The blitz is coming.
Yeah.
He's about to blitz. Get out of it like you did before. Jab, reset. You have to feint. When someone starts bouncing like that, you need to feint and get out of there. Don't let him do that. Or feint to get him to stop the blitz. But if you wait, if I'm bouncing in front of you like that and you're standing still, listen, I'm going to hit you with whatever I want pretty much. You know, because my movement, this blitz action is too explosive. And if I'm bouncing like that and you're waiting and you're standing still, there's no way you can time it, dude. There's no way you can time it. You either got to come forward or get out of there.
You basically give up any ability to counter and any ability to move when you just sit there and freeze. You're a sitting target for JJ to throw whatever he wants. And if you don't anticipate the shot, it's going to be 2 or 3, and that's what happened here. But again, boom.
Look at him, see him turn that way?
Yep.
I mean, if you think about it, Tommy's face got turned. Was that a straight? Look at the way Tommy's face turns.
Yeah. Boom.
So you see it straight, and his head turns that way. Never, ever. If you're in southpaw, if you get hit with a straight shot, your head should never turn to the right. Right? If your head gets hit, if you get hit right now, it should be getting a hit on this side of the face, and you should be getting pushed back, right over your left foot. The fact that his head turns that way, on a straight punch, means that see how the mechanics, see how he's turning this way, turning turning the wrong way, because the only other punch that can be thrown is a left hand.
Yep. Right?
That's the only other punch that can be thrown. If Tommy's leaving the other way, that left hand comes over his shoulder.
Yeah.
Right? So that's just on that left hand, you can't turn that way. And when you cover, you got to sit on it, lean back, or get underneath it. So it's just one of those things that Tommy was doing. That's one of the holes that he had. That hole's just too big because it leads to knockouts defensively.
Yeah.
You know, like we talked about, JJ's holes hands down. He's using it on purpose, though. Yeah. You know.
Yeah.
So
he's willing to play the game. He's saying, I'm willing to risk getting knocked out to knock you out, and no one's been able to do it yet. So he's winning the game. You know what I mean?
And I messaged JJ. I said, I can't believe you did it with a karate combination. Damn,
crazy.
Yes, it was beautiful.
He took it back. He took it back to the beginning, man. That's what it was,
dude. I said it was beautiful, but I hate you for it, dude, because it was so nice. I'm like, I gotta appreciate that. Dude. It's a karate move in a boxing ring, man.
And that's the thing too. Man. You know, I know people are appreciating KSI, but they really need to for his development and skill and whatever level you think he's on. let's give him his flowers and say the man was out for 3 years, is coming back, and again, just stating his claim once again in the scene, man. It's like I said, Tommy is not far away from being good, and on 12 days, he did put up what I thought, could have been a really good performance had, the holes in his game not been what they were. But he's not a bad boxer, and JJ just ran through him. And I guess there's 2 questions that we need to ask now, and where does Tommy go from here, in your opinion? And the same for JJ. Let's start with Tommy. What's next for him, and what do you see him doing now? Because he says he wants to box.
Yeah, I think Tommy has – it's more of his perspective. His training is great. His progression is great in terms of his punching power is getting better. His punching technique is getting better. He's cool and calm and collective in there. Yeah. But the way that he views fighting and the way that he views the way he approaches his style of fighting and his defense, he needs to a little revamp on it, an approach to understand certain moments that where he cannot allow himself to do something like this ever again. There's certain rules that need to be implemented individually, personally, not somebody training him to do that. He has to know that I can't let my feet cross. I can't turn this way on these kind of punches. I have to put my foot down and refuse to fight a certain way. And he needs to lean to his style more because his punching style, everyone's offense, you got to complement it with the right kind of defense.
Yeah.
Right? And his defense does not match his offense. Right? If he was just a big puncher, you know what I mean, and he was tall, length, and used power, you can get away with that. Yeah. But if his type of style, he needs to be in and out quick, jittery.
Technician.
He needs to be on his toes the whole time, bouncing out, heavy feints, tag. He's a touch, tag, in and out, boom, constant feints, resetting. When he gets into this mode where he slows down, trying to get a feel for it, he does not have the defensive awareness to do that. And I think if he just focuses on that and focuses on his defense, not covering and head movement, but the way that he approaches the type of pace and speed that he should fight at defensively, I think it's going to be a game changer because this is it.
Huge.
When he can control a fight if he can just not allow guys to do this. With Slim and JJ,
close.
it's the same thing.
So
those
close.
guys are able. If he can neutralize this,
it's
what
gonna
happens?
be tough,
Man.
He's gonna be tough for a lot of guys. And
yeah,
man, I really like Temperr. I think he's a solid guy. I think he's a solid boxer. If he just, like you said, he's this close. So I absolutely want to see him box again. I just think let's take the rest of the year. If it's not like he has any financial issues, like he's gonna be good. Let's take
definitely
the rest of the year and really, really, really work on these holes and really get this thing covered up and come back in possibly a December card, maybe a Jake and KSI undercard, and let's see what it is then, because another 2 or 3 months and I just don't think it's gonna be. First off, you want to give his brain and everything else time to heal, whatever.
Yeah, man.
And
it's been too much so far.
I know. It's been back to back to back. He's just been going. So take some time. I do want to see him back. I know he wants to get back, and I know he can really ascend to that next level, but it just takes time. But what about KSI, man? What do you see for him next? Joe Fournier came up on stage in his Hoochie Mama shirt and stole the mic from me. One of my biggest rules, man, I learned from pro wrestling, never give the mic up in this full snatch.
Never.
And I was so pissed, bro. And he tried to do it again. I didn't let that shit go. I was like, no,
yeah,
sir.
not this time.
But yeah, he came up. He talked his stuff. Obviously KSI had said something about possibly Slim as well, possibly Tyron Woodley. What do you think, man? What's next for this guy?
Well, JJ from a boxing standpoint, he has great instincts.
Yeah,
he's got great fighting instincts. He's tough. He's looking for the right time to blitz, right? Like for him to be able to make this trap happen and to land this shot was on purpose. He wasn't just swinging for the fences.
Nope.
This is a beautifully timed shot, right? For him, he just has to tighten it up. That's it. It's just a little too wide, and sometimes shots take a little too long, and he's a little bit too exposed. If he can do the same thing he's doing, but just tighten up his arms, just tighten up the shots and make sure those – instead of going like this to get there, just curve it and tighten it up. It's just you're going to get a more efficient and a more dangerous JJ. It's just everything just takes a little bit too long at times, and that's why he's missing at times where he comes behind the ear or something like that, like with Pineda the first time. But his instincts are great. I like what I see. But just if it just tightens, everything just tightens into everything that he's doing just tightens.
Yep.
You're going to see a whole different boxer. And I think with that, anybody that we just mentioned, he's good there. He got the ability to take those guys.
I'll ask you this last one, and we'll get out of here. Do you think that this performance, did it give you any indication that the gap is closing between Jake and KSI? That question that we've asked for years now, where is KSI's level? Do we now know any more of that? Or is it still a question because it did happen so quickly? Is that gap where we thought it was? Is it closer? Is it further away? What do you think?
No, I don't see it being. I don't have much more because he wasn't really tagged or hurt, and Tommy didn't really take advantage of when JJ had a lot of risk. And I don't see Jake. I see Jake as a big, powerful counterpuncher.
Yeah.
Right. So until he fights someone who's a good counterpuncher, because Tommy's not a counterpuncher. You know, he likes to slide away and then punch, but counterpuncher means like intercept, like Salt Poppy type thing, who's going to sit in the pocket and bang with you. That's not Tommy's style, right? Yeah. And that's Jake. And these guys can do that. So, and that's JJ's kryptonite right now. So I don't know. Based on what I've seen, doesn't make me feel like he's closer to Jake at all because of the style.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. It's hard to know exactly still what we're going to get when someone does sit down in the pocket with him and say, all right, let's see what you got. You're going to throw those low hands, come in a little bit kind of unorthodox. I'm going to sit down and throw my 2 down the pipe. And Jesus Christ, we just talked to a man that he'll throw his straight shots down the pipe. I don't know if Misfits, I'll ask you this, we'll get out of here with this. Does Misfits let JJ anywhere near Salt Poppy?
No.
No way, right? There's no way you let him anywhere near.
Salt Poppy, if he does, it's got to be Salt is going to have to fight again. I don't know. I don't see it. It doesn't make sense because you don't take that kind of risk before you fight Jake.
That's what I'm saying. Like if the Jake fight is the ultimate prize, and listen, I disagree with holding off on fights that we want to see, like a Salt Poppy versus a JJ, because quite frankly, Salt Poppy deserves it. But if you are trying to build the Jake and KSI fight, you don't give Salt Poppy to JJ because that is just absolutely detrimental to everything you do.
And he has the KO power. It's like it could be a close fight. Salt is going to be there's a good chance that JJ could get knocked out.
Hammered, yeah.
Right?
And to be fair,
it's like, ooh.
There's a chance that JJ does expose some holes in Salt Poppy's game, but it's a very,
of course,
very dangerous fight, man. And it's one that Salt Poppy looks to check all the boxes for, like you said, JJ's kryptonite. Staying in the pocket, straight shots, being able to time guys, firing in the in-between, just good footwork, quick, fast hands, good chin. He's dangerous, man. But that's not the fight that we're looking forward to as much as we are Jake and KSI. I think I agree with you that it may not be any closer than we already thought, but we do know JJ's getting better. It's just a matter of how good is Jake already. But we don't have those answers. Unfortunately, FaZe Temperr hit the canvas, and I think we're going to see him back. I just want him to take some time. But that is where we leave this one. Comment down below. What'd you think of the main event? KSI, FaZe Temperr. Who comes out of here with more answers than questions? Because we don't have the answers, but I guess we'll find out.